Present. Yeah.
Yeah, present. Yeah, okay. Go back to the slide. So most of you regard yourself as rational, yeah. Now, I will ask you a simple question. If you are really rational, again, the answer should be in the chat, yeah, after this, yeah. So, uh, good evening, everyone. Meet Miss Linda. She is 31 years old, still single, outspoken, and very bright. In the college, she majored in philosophy. Yeah, as a student at the time, she was deeply concerned with the issues of discrimination and equality, especially the gender equality. Yeah. Now, the question is, please answer in the chat. Yeah, just simple. It is one or two. Yeah, which is more likely according to you? About Linda. Yeah, Linda works in a bank. That's the answer number one. Or Linda works in a bank and is active in the feminist movement. One or two. Please choose your answer in the chat. Yeah, I will stop sharing the slide. You understand the question? Yeah. Yes. Enter answer one or two. Stop sharing
Everybody.
and we'll check the chat account. Yeah, chat window. Okay, one or two.
Everybody is putting two.
Okay. Oh, most of you vote two. Yeah. Okay. All right. Another two. What is no? What is no? Just answer one or two. Okay. Now we get the ideas that majority of you choose two, right? Okay. Okay. Let's see the correct answer. At least the correct answer according to the session. Yeah. Okay. I will go back to sharing
Slide.
the slide. No.
Present.
Still some answer. About you. Okay, good. Okay. Linda. Hello, Linda. Which is more likely? Linda work in the bank. Linda. So about 80% of the answer, or more than 80% of the answer, choose two. Well, let's see. Well, before you claim that yourself mostly rational, yeah. Well, not mostly, all of you above five, yeah, the scale. And I give you a simple question about rationality. And most of you, about 80% of you, answer number two. Which one is correct? Now, actually, number two is wrong. Why is it wrong? Let me put this. Now, if you answer number two, actually, this is only a subset of number one. Yeah. Feminist banker is only a small subset of bankers. So if you say feminist banker, actually it is part of number one, right? Everyone clear about this? So the correct answer should be one. One is more likely than two. This one is two. Can you see the cursor? Hello, everyone. Can you see the cursor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, feminist banker, that is number two, actually is a small part of overall banker, maybe banker 1 million people, yeah. Feminist banker maybe only 10,000, right? Which one is more likely, 1 million or 10,000? Definitely the 1 million, right? So even though you regard yourself as rational, however, with a simple question, actually you are not really rational. Okay, actually, this exercise is from the Nobel Prize winner, yeah, Daniel Kahneman. She won the Nobel Prize in economics in 2002, yeah, about the behavioral economics, yeah, talking about rationality or irrationality, yeah. So, what is the source of the error? It is called the representative heuristic. You are using rule of thumb, yeah. You base your judgment only how things appear rather than how statistically likely they are. Yeah? So you are driven by a narrative because I described Linda so excitingly, such that something you perceive Linda as someone that is more likely the feminist movement. Gitu ya. Well, so actually statistically speaking, bankers are much more likely compared to the feminist banker. Yeah. So people are driven by the narrative of the description rather than by the logic of the analysis. Yeah. If you are really, really rational, you should focus on the logic of the analysis, not only by the narrative. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So this is part of what we call the cognitive biases. Yeah. Yeah, that can screw up your decision. Yeah. There are several, maybe about 20, for example, anchoring bias. We will not discuss all of the bias here. This is the systematic bias. Many people are unaware that they they do the systematic bias. Yeah. So today we are going to focus on the number 19, that is the survivorship bias, or in short, it's just survivor bias. Yeah. That's the today's topic. Okay. So, survival bias, why important? Okay. Survival bias, sometimes called survivorship bias or just as a survivor bias. Yeah. Now, according to Shermer, it is one of the most common systematic mistakes in business research. Yeah. Even some best-selling popular business book that claim their conclusion were based on scientific research also suffer from this bias because they have chosen the sample such that the rest of the population, I mean, some part of the population will not be able to join the sample. That is already biased, the survival bias because of some criteria. Yeah. So, if not careful, business researchers tend to make wrong inference. So, there are very strong claim that the general conclusion is something like that based on my data. So you infer for the total population, while in fact it is only applicable for the part, a very small part of the population, yeah, or not all population, yeah. And that is the survival bias. Okay. Now, another question: agree or disagree? Yeah. If you agree, you answer one. If you disagree, you answer two. Yeah. After this, I will check again in the chat window. Yeah. Don't forget to make mistake. It's okay, though. This is just for fun. Yeah. Okay. Now this is the question. To achieve success, we should focus on studying successful people or successful companies. Agree or disagree? We'll stop sharing and check your answer in the chat, yeah, chat window. Okay, agree, answer one, disagree, answer two. Simple, yeah. One, agree, two, disagree. I will stop sharing the slide and check the chat window. Agree, one, disagree, two, yeah. Where is the chat window? Oh, agree. Oh, wow, there are plenty of motivator here, yeah. agree. Okay, got the idea. Most of you, majority of you, answer agree. We have to focus on the successful companies or people, yeah. That's according to the motivator usually. Yeah. Okay, let's see the answer. Well, I'm trying to connect to my slides. By the way, can you hear me? Can you still hear me? Hello, everyone. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Now, most of you answer agree. Yeah? To achieve success, we should focus on studying successful people or company. Yeah. Can you see the video?
One of your friends is starting
Yeah.
a dream job. Another one made it to his dream college, and another who started a new startup. So you look at your life and think of yourself as a complete failure. Sounds familiar? Looking at all this, you decide to take a leap of faith and start your own company. You go online and search for the most successful tech companies, and you read through their success stories. You read about
So
how
you
a
focus on
startup
studying the
IFDP
successful
and
companies.
today it is valued at millions of dollars. You look at the happy photo of the founder and how he's driving a Lamborghini and living in a mansion, and you are sure you want to start a tech company now. But did you notice one thing? You have Google successful tech companies and not tech companies that failed or tech companies. And when you do this, you have biased the results and ignored more than 90% of the companies that have failed, and the founders are left on the streets maybe. or the companies that
So you only studies a small part of the total population.
in daily life, because trans is made more visible than failure, you systematically overestimate your chances of succeeding. Behind every popular author, you will find 100 other writers whose book will never sell. Behind
Another
them are
example about the writers.
Behind them are yet another 100 whose unfinished manuscripts gathered dust in the drawer. And behind each one of these are 100 people who dream of one day writing a book. The media is not interested in digging around in the graveyards of non-successful, nor is this its job to elude the survivorship bias. You must do the digging yourself. So, should you never take the leap of faith or invest time into something that you believe in? Not necessarily, but you should recognize that survivorship bias is at work, distorting the probability of success. To sum it up, survivorship bias means this: you systematically overestimate your chances of success. Guard against it by frequently visiting the graves of one's promising projects, investments, and careers. It is a sad walk, but one that should clear your mind.
Okay, that's the brief video about survival bias. If you focus only on a specific part of the population, you ignore the rest of the population, and then you base your decision only on the small sample. I mean the sample based on the specific part of the population. Then you cannot get the overall picture of the total population. Then you systematically will decide based on the overestimate or underestimate, depend on which population you focus, not the overall population. Yeah, so you bias your decision. You base your decision based on the bias probability. Yeah, that is the simple example of the survivorship bias. By the way, can every one of you see the video and hear the voice of the video?
Video is
We are not able to see the video.
Clear, yeah?
video is
Not
there,
the
but
video.
voice is not coming.
Oh, voice not coming. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway, you can see, you can get the idea or the message
Yeah.
of the video. Yeah. The message
Yes,
of the video is, if you only focus on the specific part that already filtered of the
Yes.
population, then you judge, you base your decision on that. You don't get the overall picture. You don't get the overall probability. Then you tend to overestimate or underestimate the probability of something because you already chose the specific part based on something. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now another pop quiz. Yeah. Agree or disagree? Now this one is more scientific. Okay. Agree, press 1, disagree, press 2 later on. Yeah. Now, I will stop sharing and check the chat later on, but this is the setup. It is a 5-year study. So starting from January, let's say January 2000 to December 2004, yeah, 5 years, yeah. Okay, this is based on randomly, that is already good, randomly select 500 cardiac patient, cardiac patient, yeah, this is about, well, the specific health problem, yeah, cardiac patients. And then on that 500 cardiac patients, you administer drug to them, yeah, a specific drug, treatment, it's kind of treatment. And then every month, you measure the blood pressure because this is cardiac health problem, yeah. So you measure their blood pressure every month, and these are the results. At the beginning of January 2000, that is the first month of the experiment, the average blood pressure of those participants of the research of that sample is 160 to 100. Yeah, you know that the normal blood pressure should be 120 and 80 or something like that for the young, for the youth. Maybe for the older age, maybe 130 to 85 or something should be okay. Yeah. Okay, this is the result. The first month of the experiment, it's a 5-year study. Remember, yeah, 5 year meaning there are 60 months. Yeah, 60 months. 5 multiplied by 12, 60 months. So for the first month, the average before getting the drug, yeah, it's the 160 to 100. Yeah, wall. Yes, that's the sign of the health problem, the cardiac problem. Yeah. But after 5 years, month 60th month, the average blood pressure is 135 and 80 at the end of study. Now, based on this experiment, agree or disagree, we can claim that our drugs reduce the blood pressure of those who take the drug over time. This is 5 years, yeah, over time. Yeah. Agree or disagree? Now, in the chat, agree 1, disagree 2. Okay, I will stop share the slide and check the chat window. Yeah. Okay. Where is the chat window? Oh. Okay, now most of you answer 2, disagree. Okay. Well, come on, still waiting for the answer. Oh, still one. Oh, actually, it is about 50-50. Yeah, 50-50. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Yeah. Okay. Now, okay, got the idea. Okay, I will go back to my slide. Yeah. So, yes, when people are asked this question, now you know that there is some trap in this question, right? Well, if you don't have that previous question, but disagree, then most of people will answer 1. It is very good experiment, right? Already randomly selected. It is not based on something, yeah, randomly selected. Administer drug and measure blood pressure monthly and take the average. Well, the sample, the original sample is 500. It's already more than 30 something. Yeah, usually in statistics, if it is more than 30, the degrees of freedom, they should be okay, right? So it should be a good experiment, yeah. However, now this is the problem. If we can claim agree, yeah, this is the problem. Originally, there are 500 cardiac patients at the beginning of the study. After month 60, it is not mentioned. Maybe about 400 of the cardiac patients died during the next 5 years, right? The one that already the survival one is only maybe 100. 100 survive at the end, and of course the survive one is the good one, right? They survive because they are getting healthier. So that's why when you measure the blood pressure for the healthier one, the survived one, yeah, of course the average is good. But you don't know what happened to the unsurvived one. Maybe out of the 500 original cardiac patient in this experiment, the survived one only 100. The 400 maybe died because of the blood pressure suddenly increased to 200 and 120, for example. Yeah. So at the end of the 5 year, you only measure the survived one, the survived patients. Yeah. Maybe only 100 survive. So you cannot just compare the 160 and 100 versus the 135 and 80, because the 160 and 100 is the overall population, overall samples, the 500, while the 135 and 80 is based on the survived patients. Yeah. So the numbers, the average cannot be compared directly. Yeah. So this is a systematic bias because you only measure the survived one after 5 years. Yeah. So cannot just claim that the drug reduced the blood pressure. Maybe for the 400 that did not survive, the average maybe 200 and 120, even worse than before. Yeah. Okay, that's another problem with the survival bias. Now, after this, yeah, after 3 questions, you already you already start to think about your systematic bias for the survival bias. Yeah, you learn something. Okay. Okay. Now this is another. Well, we don't have to chat agree or disagree. This is just a cartoon. Yeah. Now, can you see the cartoon here, everyone? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see. We can see, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So this cartoon says that there's an interview of this 112-year-old lady by one of the journalists. We have with us a truly exceptional 112-year-old lady. Now the question is, so tell us, what's your diet like? What, my diet? Mostly rum, that is alcohol, and cigar, rum and cigar. Now, based on this, the journalists conclude that, hey, hear that, folks, the secret to longevity, long life, yeah, is rum and cigar. Of course, by now you know that is not, you cannot agree with this, right? Because this is the only survived sample, yeah. Okay, and this is a simple cartoon about the survival bias. So, wait, I know lots of people who were on the same diet and are now dead because she's already 112 years old. That's the example of the survival bias. Yeah, just the funny one. Yeah. Okay. Now, a simple description of the statistical inference. Yeah. So, population samples and statistical inference. In the process of research, you have the population, your target population. Yeah. We want to know about the parameter, we call it parameter, that is the characteristics of the population. Mostly about the mean, the standard deviation, or the proportion. Yeah. Mean, obviously the average, the standard deviation, the distribution, yeah, or the proportion about something. Yeah. That is the characteristic that we want to get ideas on the population. However, we don't have time to check for the whole population, so we select randomly part of the population, which is called sample. So from population, get sample. And we check the characteristic of the sample, which is the average, which is the sample mean, the standard deviation, that's the distribution, and or the proportion, yeah, of the sample. Based on the characteristic of the sample, we want to draw inference on the characteristic of the population. The sample means may represent the population mean. Sample standard deviation may represent the population standard deviation. Or if we measure the proportion, sample proportion, we get the ideas about the population proportion with some statistical method. Yeah, that's the draw inference. Okay, that's the way of thinking of the research when you get the sample from the population. Okay. However, when we perform that exercise, there are several potential sources of error. Yeah. Again, we want to estimate the population parameter, which is this one, based on this. Yeah. With assumption that the sample on average represent the population. Yeah. However, sometimes it is not true because of something. If it is only based on sampling error, meaning because the sample is not really the whole population, of course, the average of the sample not really exactly the same as the average of population, that should be okay. That's called the sampling error. Yeah. Okay. However, the problem is if it is not the sampling error, that's the random error. This one is the random error. But the systematic mistake of the non-sampling error, yeah, because of the poor sampling method, or the mistake in questionnaire, or the way to measure the things that you really want to measure, or because the behavioral effects. For example, you send a questionnaire, but only a specific person that really want to answer will answer because they have a certain characteristic. And then the one that don't want to answer because they have the other characteristic, yeah, not represented the whole population. That is the behavioral effect. Okay? So if it is non-sampling error, then most likely you will commit the systematic bias. Yeah. For example, the survival bias. If it's only sampling error, that's statistically okay because it is a random error. But beware on the non-sampling error. Yeah. Okay. So what's the problem? The problem is the observed sample and the unobserved part of the population. So what we see or what we observe is the existing sample because of they survive after some process. Like for example, the 500 cardiac patient at the beginning, and at the end after 60 months, maybe only 100 survive. And what we can observe is only the 100 after 5 years, right? That's the surviving people or surviving companies. For example, you want to check the longitudinal data of the companies for 10 years, yeah. Or the original company, maybe there are 100 companies, but after 10 years, the surviving company only maybe 20 or 30. So when you measure the 20 and 30, you actually measure only the survived one. That cannot represent the overall 100 original company, yeah, because of the 80 to 70 companies already dead, already bankrupt or something, yeah. So if you only focus on the surviving one, that is the 20 or 30 companies, then you commit the survival bias, because the statistic of that surviving things or people or company can only be applicable for the inference for that part of population, cannot be representing the whole population. Yeah. Now be careful, because people tend to jump to conclusion based on only what we can see, what we observe right now. So you have to track the historical event or something that can create that filter, yeah, so that we only see the survived one versus non-survived one, yeah. Okay, now there's another example of the surviving warplanes. Okay, I will turn on the video. Hopefully the voice, you can hear the voice, but if you cannot hear the voice of the video, please let me know. Yeah. Okay, this is the video. Can you see the video? There's a picture, not yet the video. This is the picture of a lady. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
do this?
Yeah. It's a picture.
Okay, I will start the video. Okay.
In World War II, American planes
Can
were
you
going down
hear
too
the
often
voice
and
from
needed to
the
be
video?
reinforced with
Yes,
extra
yes.
armor.
yes.
We studied the planes that came back and found the most holes in the belly, wings, and tail gunner. Just when they were about to put the armor on, one man piped up about why it was because they survived. The parts that took damage but still made it home were the parts that didn't need to be enforced at all. Survivorship bias happens when you only account for those who survive and disregard the failures. By doing that, you're missing most of the facts. If you're listening to successful people talk about their mistakes, all you're seeing are the real uniting factor between all successful people is luck. But hey, don't get
Can you hear the voice of the video and the?
It actually got stopped, I think, in between. I think so. At least I can't hear the voice as well as the. I can only see the picture. No.
Hello.
Yeah, it's not continue. The here voice is not
Okay.
coming actually.
Okay, I will repeat this video.
Yeah.
I will repeat the video. So this is the description. Before I turn on the video, I will give the description first. So this research is about the airplane that survived after they perform the bombing. Yeah. So maybe there are 100 airplanes that performed the bombing during the World War, and then some of them return, and most of them cannot return because of they failed. Yeah. Got shot during the war, yeah. And then they study only the survived planes where the plane got the holes because of the guns. Yeah.
Again, it got stopped. I think voice is not coming.
Yes, it got stopped. Yes.
Yeah. Professor Roy, can you hear us?
Professor Roy, can you hear us?
Then actually it is wrong,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the holes in the wings still make them survive, but the one that cannot make the plane go down is not the hole in the wings, the hole in the machine, the hole in the body or something like that. Yeah. So this is the video is about. Okay, I will turn the video one more time. Turn on the video one more time.
In World War II, American planes were going down too often and needed to be reinforced with extra armor. They studied the planes that came back and found the most holes in the belly, wings, and tail gunner. Just when they were about to put the armor on, one man piped up about why it was such a bad idea. The planes they studied came home. They weren't part of the problem because they survived. The parts that took damage but still made it home were the parts that didn't need to be enforced at all. Survivorship home. These people can't tell you how they avoided going down because they have no idea. Depressingly enough, the only real uniting factor between all successful people is luck. But hey, don't get discouraged. Studies have shown that we can actually shape and measure our own luck.
Okay, that's the video. Yeah. Can you still hear me now? Hello.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay.
We are able to hear.
Again, yeah. This is about the airplane. Yeah, the surviving airplane got holes here. Yeah, but no holes in the machine here. Yeah. Yeah. So what we observe is the bullet holes in places that did not there. Yeah, holes here did not cause the plane to go down. What we will not observe, the bullet holes in the engine weren't coming back. So if the decision is to strengthen the wings and the tails, well, that's not really correct. What you need to strengthen is actually this part, yeah, the one that do not have holes when they return, yeah, because the planes that did not return, they got holes here, not this. Yeah, this you can still survive. Yeah, again, that's the example of the survival bias. Okay. By now, you get the ideas about the dangers of decision based on some criteria, yeah, or some process. Yeah. All right. Now, application for the business. Yeah. About the mutual funds. Yeah. For those of you who don't know mutual fund, it is like investment, kind of investment or other financial instrument, yeah, financial market instrument. Well, the advertisement only so by now you can see that it is already the mutual fund advertisement. That's a simple carton. For example, we start with 10 mutual funds. This is not yet the advertisement. This is the process. And then just randomly selected chosen stocks without any systematic pattern or something, just randomly selected. So we create the 10 original mutual funds. Yeah. And then after 2-3 years, some of the mutual fund, the randomly selected mutual fund, will perform very well, and some other will perform very poorly, right? Now, out of the 10, maybe 3 mutual funds, 3 portfolios of mutual fund performs very well. So you advertise only the 3 mutual fund, but hide the 7 that perform not so well, right? Yeah. So when you advertise only the 3 with the very well performance. Well, if the audience see only the 3, but they conclude that the 3 actually represent the whole population,
Uh, Professor Roy, can you hear me? Professor Roy, can you hear me? I think what is required is, I think, if
yes,
video can be closed, because what is happening when the video is played,
yes,
bandwidth goes down and we are not able to hear you. So what
okay,
happens? So I think what we can do, if you can just explain the video
yes, okay,
instead of playing, so it will perfectly work. Because the moment you play the video, your picture get frozen, and we are not able to listen to you, and even video plays for some seconds and then stops. That is what is happening.
okay.
So
Well,
just a
I will
feedback.
definitely explain the
Yeah.
video and skip the video. Okay, thank you very
Yes.
much for the suggestion. Yeah. Anyway, you get the idea about the mutual
Is
fund
video.
advertisement. Yeah. So again, this is the example of the survival bias in action. Okay, I will skip the video.
Professor Roy, am I audible to you? Hello? Professor Roy, am I
Yeah.
audible to you?
Hello,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? I think,
Yes, I can hear.
sir, if you switch off your video,
Mhm.
own video, your video, then I
Okay.
think bandwidth would increase. Can we try
Oh
that,
yeah,
sir?
there is the bandwidth problem. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So I will skip the video, but you get the ideas about the content of the video. Yeah.
Your sir personal video, your I mean your face would not appear to the participants, but they will hear your voice and will see your
Mhm.
presentation.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let me
Can
continue
we
with
try
my
that, sir?
presentation.
Can we try that, sir? Right?
Write the video.
Yeah, your video, sir. Please switch.
Okay.
This
one video.
Yeah, you just turn off the camera, sir. The participant would hear your voice and the presentation they
Yes.
would see.
So I will turn off my camera.
Yes,
Like
sir.
this.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Then let me try to present the video. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Sure, sir. We are seeing your screen.
Okay. Can you see my video, my slides now?
Yes, sir. We are seeing your slide. Why you should avoid mutual funds.
Okay. Now this is the video. I will turn on the video.
Yes.
Can you see the video?
Yes, sir. We are seeing.
Can you hear the voice of the video?
Voice is quite low, but we are seeing the video.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is an explanation about the survival bias. Yeah.
Okay.
You can read the text. Yeah.
Okay.
Why it matters? Yeah. Because the end result is this. So you can only see the better one, but you don't see the full one. So if you decide your decision based on the better one, then actually this is the survival bias in action.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. Now I will stop the video. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the performance with and without the survival effect. Yeah. For example, for the large cap, that is big companies, yeah, big investment, yeah, funds. The blue one is the this is about the performance gap, yeah, performance gap. between the life and death funds, and this one is the live only fund. Yeah? The blue one is if you measure only the survive one, and the gray one is if you if you measure both the survive and unsurvived funds. Yeah. So if you measure the whole population, actually the percentage of the mutual fund that outperform the benchmark is only 30% here. 30% of the mutual fund can outperform the benchmark, meaning they perform better than the benchmark. Yeah. But if you measure only the survive one, this is about almost 40%. Yeah, almost 40% perform better than the benchmark. So it means that there is a gap, survival bias gap, about 3%. Yeah, 3% of the proportion. Yeah. So out of 100 mutual fund, if you measure only the live funds, the survive one, the performance, meaning that the portion of the mutual fund that outperform the benchmark is almost 40%. But if we include the bad performance, actually close to 30%. Yeah, this one. Yeah, for 1 year. The longer the year, for example, after 5 years, the survive one perform about 60% above the benchmark. 60% of the fund perform above the benchmark, but less than 50% perform below the benchmark. So there's a performance gap. This is the survival bias gap. Yeah. Same thing happened to the mid-cap funds. Yeah, and also the small capitalization funds. Yeah. Basically, you always can see there is a gap of the survival bias gap, yeah, especially for the longer time period. The longer the time period, the more fund will survive. The less fund will survive, so the gap will be higher. Yeah. Okay, that's the example of the survival bias with the application of the mutual fund performance. Yeah. So by now you already know the definition of survival bias and why is it dangerous. Yeah. Okay. I give you 1 minute or 2 minutes for yourself to write down your own definition of survival bias and your thought about why is it dangerous. Yeah, after you see about 20 to 30 slides. Yeah. Okay, I give you 1 minute time to ponder for yourself and write down for your own definition and your own conclusion why is it dangerous. Okay, I will stop for 1 to 2 minutes and then give you time to write it down for yourself. Yeah, I'll get some drink anyway. Okay, everyone. Have you written your own conclusion about your definition and why is it dangerous? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course, everyone will get their own observation about the definition and why is it dangerous. Yeah. Well, there is no one correct answer for all, but of course there are some suggestion about the answer. Yeah. Okay, let me again share the video. Hopefully you can hear that. Yeah, I will turn off my video and then again another this one. Yeah, my camera, and then turn on the next video about the definition. Yeah. Here is the definition. Survivorship bias.
Or survival bias is a logical error of
Can you see the video, everyone?
No, sir, we are not able to see your video.
Not because of their lack of
Yeah, can you see can you hear the video?
Several different ways.
We are hearing your video, but not able to see it.
Or could be companies or research
Okay, let me repeat the video, yeah?
or survival bias. It's a logical error of concentrating on the people or things that survived some process and inadvertently overlooking those that did not because of their lack of visibility. This can lead to false conclusions in several different ways. The survivors may be actual people, as in a medical study, or could be companies or research subjects or applicants for a job, or anything that must make it past some selection process to be considered further. Survivorship bias can lead to overly optimistic beliefs because failures are ignored, such as when companies that no longer exist are excluded from analyses of financial performance. It can also lead to the false belief that the successes in a group have some special property, rather than just coincidence. Correlation proves causation. For example, if 3 of the 5 students with the best college grades went to the same high school, that can lead one to believe that the high school must offer an excellent education. This could be true, but the question cannot be answered without looking at the grades of all the other students from that high school, not just the ones who survived the top 5 selection process. Survivorship bias is a type of selection bias. In finance, survivorship bias is a tendency for failed companies to be excluded from performance studies because they no longer exist. It often causes the results of studies to skew higher because only companies which were successful enough to survive until the end of the period are included. For example, a mutual fund company's selection of funds today will include only those that are successful now. Many losing funds are closed and merged into other funds to hide poor performance. In theory, 90% of extant funds could truthfully claim to have performance in the first quartile of their peers, if the peer group includes funds that have closed. In 1996, Elton, Gruber, and Blake showed that survivorship bias is larger in the small fund sector than in large mutual funds, presumably because
Okay, I stopped the video. Can you still hear me now? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, yes.
Yeah, you can still hear me, yeah? Okay,
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
all right. Can you still see the slides now?
Not yet, sir.
Huh? The slide, okay. I have to share the slide mana dia. Wait.
I think, sir, you will have to pin to screen.
Wait. Oh, where is it? Okay. Yeah, I got it now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This one, yeah. Can you see the slide now?
Yes,
it's
yes, it
coming.
is coming, sir.
It's
Yes,
coming.
yes.
So,
Yes.
based on that video, this is the keyword of the definition of the survival bias. Yeah, it's about logical error, non-sampling error. Those are the keywords. Yeah, concentrating on the distorted sample. Sample meaning people, things, or object. Yeah, that made it past some selection process. Yeah. In that way, we overlook those that did not pass that filter. Yeah, typically because of their lack of visibility or something. So because of this, it can lead to a false conclusion in several different ways. Yeah. For example, in the investing, the possibility that an investor will make a misguided investment decision based on published investment fund return data. When it's published, it means already survived. Yeah. And then the data are unrealistically high because of a company's poorly performing funds are closed, so not published. Yeah, and the return are not included in the data in the average. Yeah, so when you see the average, it is the average of the survived mutual funds. Yeah, the performance of the survived mutual fund. So overall, it will be overestimate of the average performance of the overall population of the mutual fund. Yeah. So it means that if you try to invest On average, you will not achieve the return as anticipated because the decision was based on the distorted information. Yeah, only the surviving information. Yeah. Okay, that's the definition of survival bias and some application in the business and finance. And why is it dangerous? Because your conclusion can be wrong because of the systematic error of the survival bias. Yeah. Okay, now another exercise. This one I will check later on about in the chat, yeah, whether you choose X or choose Y. Yeah. So this is the exercise. This is the research. Yeah. So there are two jars. The first jar is very transparent. Consists of black and white marbles, and it is given the information. This is the accurate information that in jar X there are 50 white marbles and 50 black marbles. So your chance is about 50-50, yeah. And then in the second jar, it is covered, so you cannot see the content of the jar. But the jar has 100 marbles also in jar well, but you don't know whether it is how many white and how many blacks. It consists white and black marble also, but you don't know how many white and how many black marbles, yeah, because it is covered. But for the first jar, it is given the information that out of that 100 marbles, 50 are whites and 50 are blacks, yeah. Now, step one, you have to choose, and this is your answer. You choose X or Y later, yeah. Choose jar X or Y, and then take one marble by closing your eyes, of course. Yeah, you cannot just choose black or white with open eyes. You have to close your eyes, cover your eyes, and then randomly choose one marbles from the chosen jar. If you choose jar X, then you pick one marble from jar X. If you choose jar Y, then you pick one marble for jar Y. Yeah? And then after you take the one marble with closed eyes, then you can open your eyes and check. If the marble that you chose is white, then you will get 100 US dollar. If the marble that you chose is black, you get 0. Clear about the exercise? Hello, everyone? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now
Yeah,
I will stop sharing the slide. I will check the chat window. Who will choose X and who will choose Y? Okay, I will. Please type in the chat window your choice. You choose X or Y. Yeah, I will stop here. Stop sharing and check the chat window. Okay, to get the ideas about that one. Where is the chat window?
चार वाई में नहीं पता आपको
Okay.
चार वाई में
Okay, X, X, Y, X, X, X. Okay, more. 1, 2, 3, okay. Well, just choose X or Y. Okay. All right. Now I got the idea that about majority, like the 80 to 90% of you will choose X, right? Okay. Okay. Well, some will choose Y, but majority choose X. Yeah. All right. Now I will share again the slide. Yeah. Where is the share slide? Close the chat. It doesn't. Okay, for this exercise, let's say 85% of you will choose X, right? Okay. Now I will change the problem a little bit. And again, I want you to choose whether it is X or Y. Yeah. So next slide. Can you see the slide now? Hello?
yes, sir. Yes.
So this is the same exercise, but step 3 is different. Step 3.
Yes.
This is before, if white marble chosen, then you get $100. If black marble chosen, you get nothing. Now, if black marble chosen, you get $100. If white marble chosen, you get nothing. Yeah. So that's the difference between this slide, the first slide, case A. The title is case A. This one. Oops, mana dia? Sorry. Here still case A. If white marble, then you get $100. That's the previous one, yeah. Previous one. Most of you chose X, but 85% of you chose X, yeah. But now I change a little bit. Now case B, yeah, case B. Step 1 and step 2 still the same. The two jars are still the same. But step 3 is different. Before this is white, yeah. Before this is white, you get $100. Now this is black. If the black marble chosen, you get $100. If white marble chosen, you get nothing. Again, clear about the difference between the first case, that is case A. If white, you get $100. Most of you answer X. Now, case B, if black is chosen, that you get $100. If white chosen, you get nothing. Now, which one is your choice? X or Y? Okay, I will stop sharing the slide and check the chat window, yeah? Just answer X or Y. Where is the chat window? Well, still a lot of X, yeah? Okay, you are very consistent, okay? All right. Okay, so already 10 samples for the answer. Yeah. Anyone want to answer? Okay. Okay, again, got the idea. Most of you, like the 85%, consistently choose X. Some of you move your choice, but you consistently choose X, yeah, or something like that, yeah. Okay, let's see what's the problem with this problem, yeah. So, in the first case, this is the first case. That is case A. Nah, in the case A, if white marble chosen, you get $100. Most people choose X, but 85% of the participants choose X. When you choose X, it means that your inference about the probability of white marble in the jar Y is less than 50%. Can you follow my argument? Because you choose choose X, you believe that the probability of getting white marble in jar Y is less than 50%. That's why you choose jar X. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, 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 sir.
So again, most of you, like 85% of you, chose X because you believe that the probability of getting white marble here, the probability of white is less than 50%. While here, the probability of white, where you get the $100, is 50%, right? Now, when I change the problem, yeah, but you still choose this, you still choose jar X. So it means that here, when you choose jar X, you believe that the probability of black marble here is less than 50%. But if the probability of black marble is less than 50%, then the probability of white marble is actually more than 50%.
Yes.
Right? Clear? Hello, everyone.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me repeat again. Some of you still not clear. Okay, in the case A, when you choose jar X, 85% of you choose jar X, then in your mind, you believe that the probability of white marble here in the jar Y is less than 50%, right? That's why you choose jar X. Higher probability of getting the $100, right? Okay. In the case B, the jar are still the same. They are still the same. But when you still choose jar X, it means that your inference is the probability of the black marble here in jar Y is less than 50%, meaning that the probability of white marbles in jar Y is higher than 50%. How is it possible? They are still the same jar, right?
They're the
The
same jar.
same jar,
But the
but
perception
before
is
you believe that, in case A, you believe that the probability of the white marble is less than 50%. That's why you choose jar X. And here, the second case, you believe that the probability of white marble is actually higher than 50%. So again, you consistently choose jar X, but actually you make a wrong decision because you base on the wrong probability of white marble here. Before your inference is here, the case A, white marble is uh, less than 50% in jar Y. And after that, the white marble in the second case, higher than 50%. How is it possible? They are still the same jar, right? Now, that's the mistake of rationality. Okay, you get the point already?
yes.
Hello, everyone,
Yeah,
get the
Yes,
point?
sir. Yes, yes.
very much here.
Very much.
So, at the beginning of this presentation, uh, the average participant in this seminar believe that they are really rational, right? Above 5 from 0 to 10. But actually, most of you answer incorrectly of the some simple questions, right? The Linda question, this jar question, and about agree or disagree. Yeah, it's
Yes, yes.
interesting. So now you have to reflect yourself. Are you really rational? From 0 to 10.
It's like,
Now you
it's
know
like
some systematic error that you are actually unaware that you made.
Correct.
Okay.
great.
Okay, we have finished the first part, that is the concept, the danger of survival bias. Yeah. Now, the second one. Okay, we'll take a 1 minute restroom break. If you want to go to the restroom, go ahead now. 1 minute.
Okay. Okay, sir.
I'll get drinks for you.
Right, sir. Okay, okay. 1 minute.
1 minute restroom
So,
break.
participants, there is 1 minute break,
Mhm.
and after 1 minute, session would start.
Systematic
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back, sir.
Okay, let's continue. So by now, I believe now you get some ideas, yeah, about the survival bias. Okay. Okay, next agenda. This is a short second agenda. How to avoid and handling the survival bias problem. Yeah. So before that, can you see the screen? Hello, everyone.
Yes, sir, we are seeing it.
So what animals do you see in the screen?
Yes, sir.
What
Fish.
animals?
छोड़ दिया अपना ही
Okay, that's my question. What animals do you see? Hello, everyone.
So we see all fishes only. I think.
Okay, fish
All
is
are-
only. Can you
yeah,
see other animal than fish in this screen?
No, I mean we can't see the animals. Any other?
So
other than-
you can only see the fish, right?
we can only see the fish. Yes.
Okay, most of you will see only the fish, like 95% of you.
Yes.
Actually, there are other animals in this screen, but it is hidden.
Okay.
Can you guess the animal, or can you see other than fish?
I'm checking. I'm trying to understand.
Okay, I will check the chat window. If anyone can see other animal than fish in this screen, I will stop share. Well, you can take picture of the screen and then I will stop share and then take a look at the screen.
Yes, sir.
where
There are
you
few
can-
birds flying.
There what?
There are few birds flying.
Ah, good. So
Yes.
one participant can see the flying swan or flying bird.
Mhm.
Flying birds. Okay, let me check the chat whether other participants see the flying bird. Yeah, where's the chat? If you can see the flying swan or flying bird, just say yes. Okay, there are some can see the bird, or they say bat. Actually, it is not bat. It is some see the rabbit. I don't see the rabbit. Okay, fish, rabbit, bat, bird too. Okay, good. Some of you already see the bird. Yeah. Okay. Now I will.
Excuse me, sir. We can't see your slide.
Okay. Let me share the slide again. Where is the slide share? Where is it? Sorry. Hello, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir. We're hearing you.
Okay, I will help you to see the flying swan. Now here. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. These
Yes,
are
sir.
the birds.
now
Ah,
birds and
now
fishes.
you can see the flying bird, right? They are already there. For example, here,
Flying bird.
right? Flying bird here. Now here, yeah, flying bird. Okay, but most of you only see the fish, yeah, not the flying bird, yeah, because you all only trained to see the obvious one, but not well trained to see the hidden one. This one is somewhat hidden, yeah, the birds here.
Yes, they are in the shadow.
Yeah? Okay, yeah. So that's the simple exercise. Okay. All right, let's move on. So, how to handle the survival bias or to avoid? So, in your research, you need to identify the relevant population and the overall sample space. So, the question is, which population I want my study to infer to make inference to? Remember, we want to check the characteristic of the population by checking the characteristic of the sample, right? So you need to be clear about those two. Okay. So we want to know about this. We have these to work on. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Step number 2: identify possible non-sample parts of the population and the potential bias effect. Yeah. If, for example, some part of population, because of some criteria, cannot be chosen, that you should be aware of the potential danger of survival bias. Yeah? These are some questions. Which part of the population are less likely to be or cannot be included in your sample set? That rings a bell about the survival bias. Okay? What are possible causes of their exclusion? You need to understand your population and your sample. If I don't account for that, then will it lead you to make an incorrect conclusion? Yeah, because of the survival bias. You ask yourself. Yeah. So you should be aware of your systematic error. Yeah. If it will, what are the potential effects of the exclusion of that part? Yeah. Overestimate, underestimate, or other possibility. Yeah. That's the second step. First step, after knowing that, you may want to make a model of the potential bias effect. Yeah, this is the picture. The overall population, part of this is survive one. This one is not to survive. You take sample. If your sample represent the whole population, that some part of your sample will include the non-survive, and then some part will include the survive. But most of the times, when it is the situation, the sample that you took, the researcher took only from the survive part. Yeah, this is the sample. Yeah? So after knowing that, after you know that you can only take the sample from the survive one, then you can create a simple model about the phenomenon to identify or hypothesize the possible bias effect. For example, because this part usually the performance is negative, this part the performance positive. If you only take the sample of the positive part, of course, the result will be positive. But you know that this one is not really true. For example, if you hypothesize that the negative part has some characteristic, then after you combine your observed one with your hypothesis one, assumption here, then you can get the overall picture about the population. Yeah? Okay. So you can estimate the potential bias effect. If you know that you do this bias here, you target this, but because of your population characteristic or your sample selection, you tend to shoot in this part. Yeah. Then you have to adjust your conclusion toward the upper right corner. Yeah, yeah, upper here, in order to adjust for the bias. Yeah. Yeah. All right. You will have to control for the potential bias effect. Yeah. Based on the estimate, adjust the estimate in the sample statistics, and then conduct reality checks. Maybe you want to interview expert in that, not that particular field, or experienced practitioners in that relevant industry to check your conclusion, whether your conclusion suffer the potential survival bias still, or, well, in reality is not true. Yeah. Or if you cannot do that, you cannot account for that, then be careful to draw a very strong conclusion. Yeah. You have to know the limitation of your research. Yeah. You have to account for the survivor bias by constraining your claims to the narrowest set of the conditions that are true for your sample. Yeah. So your conclusion is only for the part of the survived population, not the overall population. Yeah. Okay, those are the simple 5 steps to control for the survival bias or to avoid survival bias. Yeah. Okay. Now, the last part of my presentation is the case application of the survival bias in the IPO research based on my doctoral dissertation. That is the IPO anomalies, truncated excess supply. When you see the truncated, so something about the survival bias, yeah, truncated, yeah, not the overall population, yeah, and because of the heterogeneous information. Okay, this is the ideas, yeah. When you know the capital market, the stock market, when the company want to be listed in the stock market, there is a certain process, a screening process. Yeah. So you apply, your company apply to be listed, and then the evaluation will start by the regulator and some of the business practitioner. And if after the evaluation, the results seems to be it's a potential company, then it is a go. And then you are listed on the stock exchange by selling your part of your shares, your ownership. You get money, yeah, for funding new project, or you sell your part share to sell out yourself, yeah? And then you will get the business result after the investment is made, yeah. So that's the process of the initial public offering. Now here there is a selection or filtering things, yeah. Rings a bell of the survival bias things, yeah. Okay, the IPO, initial public offer. Why companies perform IPO? There can be financial needs for the project or for strategic reason. Because if you are a listed companies, then your reputation is much higher than non-listed companies. That is good for example, if the foreign partner want to invest in your country, then the priority of their radar screen will be the publicly listed company listed in the stock exchange, because the information is relatively more transparent. So for the strategic reason, you can do the IPO listed, or you can combine the financial needs and strategic reason. Yeah. So this is the process. When you want your company to be listed, you have to select the company called the underwriter. It is the investment banker to manage your process. And then after that, after you complete the document with the help of the underwriter, then you have to register to the regulators, yeah, to the regulator in the government, and then to the stock exchange, yeah, self-regulator. And then after the registration is accepted, then you can do the pre-marketing and roadshow to market your shares. And then after that, you collect all the data from the marketing. It is called the book building. Book building is the record of all the order, the investor that order your shares during the marketing period. Yeah? And after that, based on that order, you can set up the final pricing. Yeah. During the marketing, you have the indication of price, and then based on the indication of price, then some interest coming. Yeah. And then you set up the final price, and then you went public after it is approved by the regulator. Then after you are listed, then there will be some aftermarket activities in the stock market. So this is the basic process, yeah, from the preparatory work to the company, the stock market trading in the listed for the listed companies. Yeah. Okay, now about the research, the empirical evidence on IPO research. A long time ago, these are the empirical research. During the 75, Roger Ibbotson found out, based on comprehensive investigation of initial public offering company, that the price in the capital market when they are traded, when the shares are traded in the stock market, on average higher than the original price the company offered to the first investor when they are listed. Yeah. So before they are listed, they offer, remember, the marketing and the roadshow. That's the P0. The P0 is the price that they give to the original buyer of the company, yeah? The first investor, just before the listed activities. Yeah? The P1 is the price in the market. Yeah? P0 is not yet in the market, just the period just before they are listed, and P1 is the price after they are listed. According to empirical evidence, Ibbotson sees that the P1 on average consistently above the P0. Yeah. So that's why when you buy at the price P0, and then after that you sell at the aftermarket, that is the P1, then you can create profit. That's why sometimes the IPO jokingly stands for the instant profit overnight. Hello everyone, can you still hear me? Just want to check.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
So IPO, because of that, instant profit overnight. Now the question is, okay, this is the empirical evidence. Yeah, you can get on average return, positive return, very high positive return on average when you buy at P0 and then you sell at P1. So the period is, for example, 1 week, 1 day, or 1 month. So if there's 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, you get on average double-digit % for your investment. It is much better than the simple time deposit in the bank. Maybe the time deposit in bank only give you about 2%, 3% per year. That is per year. This one is, if you buy at the original period, just before the listing, and then you sell after the listing, then you will earn double-digit % on average in 1 week or 1 day or 1 month, not in 1 year. So this is very high profit if you invest in the initial public offering. Yeah. Now the question is, how is it so? Why we will have the instant profit? Seems to be instant profit. Yes, seems to be. Later on, the answer lies in the survival bias observation. Yeah, but based on this observation, the average return, or 1 day return on 1 week return from the P0 to P1 is 2%, 3% per year, not per month, right? Okay, instant profit overnight. And then some people also consider that as an overreaction of the market. That overestimate.
Why is waiting?
Over negative. And if people already found out about the operation, of course they or that explaining the correct that rationally. Why continuation of operation? So is it because of underpricing, meaning the P0 price under the true value of P1 if it is underpricing, right? Is it underpricing? If it is underpricing, why companies are willing to sell the price below the true price? This is their sacrifice, right? There are several theoretical explanation about why in the IPO there's an consistent underpricing. For example, the principal agent problem, winner's curse problem, signaling phenomena. Yeah, we will not discuss this, but basically this explanation, theoretical explanation, is based on the assumption that the P0 is the incorrect price and P1 is the correct price. P1 is the price in the market. P0 is just before listed. Yeah. So this one is underpricing, price under the true value. And why is it so? Then these are the theoretical explanation based on the assumption that it is an underpricing phenomenon, which means that P0 is incorrect and P1 is correct, right? In the short run. Okay. So the question is it really underpricing, meaning that P0 is incorrect and P1 is correct? That's the question, yeah? Okay. Now, then P0 is incorrect, then we have to check the long run performance, not only 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month performance, yeah? Because the positive average return that I show you before in the graph is based on only 1 day, 1 week, 1 month performance, yeah, including the Roger Ibbotson research, yeah, and other research. Now, if you believe that P1 is the correct one, then in the long run there will be no abnormal extra return, right? It's already adjusted to the correct one, yeah. Now, in order to check whether P1 is really correct, we need to check. We need to check the long run performance. Not just 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month, but the long run, years. And one researcher actually have done that during the 90s. And what is the result? Actually, in the long run, you can see that on average, there is a negative abnormal return. Not really, if it's normal return, it's the raw return. Abnormal return after you compare with the benchmark. Yeah. The abnormal return actually negative, meaning there's a correction downward after the original listed price. Yeah, correction downward. These are the result. Consistent, yeah, on average downward. Yeah. So this is the source. Yeah. Okay. So it means that after checking the long run performance, is it really underpricing? Yeah. So underpricing meaning P0 is wrong, P1 is correct. If P1 is really correct, then there should be no other further correction or no abnormal return, yeah. Okay, from zero post IPO cumulative abnormal return, yeah. Now after checking the long-term performance, the result actually negative, meaning there is a reversal, yeah. There is a reversal. So in the long run, the IPO, jokingly abbreviated, the abbreviation stands for the inferior performance over time. Yeah, before instant profit overnight, now inferior performance over time, not really underpricing. So it means that P1 is not really correct, right? Because there are some correction after that going downward. Yeah? So IPO, this is my joking. Yeah, IPO instant profit overnight, and in the long run, actually inferior performance overnight. This is the cumulative abnormal return. For the first week, first month, positive, very huge, yeah, the double-digit percent. But afterward, the long run, it is a correction, yeah, abnormal performance, correction downward. So it means the pricing here not really correct, right? The P1 is not really correct, right? And I said the paradigm now upside down. All the explanation based on the pricing is not really correct. Okay, right. Now my dissertation is about why the phenomena look something like this: increase and then afterwards decrease. Yeah. Now the main idea is about the survival bias, mainly about the supply and demand of the shares. There is fundamental factors and there are some random factors. Yeah. Fundamental factor is the true value of the company because of the fundamental performance. Random factor because of other factor other than fundamental. For example, the excess market liquidity, excess supply of the liquidity because of the central bank suddenly inject money to the market or something. Yeah. So during the pre-marketing period, this is the process. Underwriter collect information about the demand of the shares, and then based on the information, the original price will adjust only for the fundamental factor, or only for the correct factor, yeah. Because the underwriter will not want to underprice or overprice, because they have to protect their double-edged reputation, reputation to companies for the fair price and reputation to the investor for the fair price. Cannot be overpriced, cannot be underpriced. Yeah? So they only adjust based on the fundamental factor, but not because of other factors like the excess market liquidity. So just before the IPO, just before the listing, there can be random factor that is positive, that will create the excess demand, or random factor that is negative, that can create excess supply of shares, lack of demand, because supply is higher than the demand. Yeah. So when the demand is high because of the excess demand, because of the injection of liquidity by the central bank, for example, when the demand is high because of the positive random factor, not the fundamental factor, then the IPO will be survive. Yeah. But when the demand is low, not because of the fundamental factor, but because of other factor, then the IPO tend to be withdrawn, cancelled. This one survive, this one not survive. Remember survival bias. Yeah? So the observed IPO, when we measure the return of the IPO, the observed one, tend to be because of this part, the excess demand, because the random factor, not the fundamental factor, is at that time high. That will create average positive initial return. P1 higher than P0, right? On average, because of the observed one is the survive one. Yeah? But in the long run, because of random factor, the cost of the excess demand is a random factor, not the fundamental factor. The positive random factor will be corrected to zero, right? Gradually will be erased. So the post-IPO cumulative abnormal return will be decreasing over time because of this correction of the random factor. Yeah? So that is the idea. Some part of IPO can be still withdrawn or delayed after learning that the demand is relatively weak or negative because of the random factor, not the fundamental factor. Yeah. So if we can observe the whole population of IPO, then the average abnormal return during the first period should be around 0 because of the normal distribution. Yeah, the initial return should be around 0 if we can observe the failed and then the successful IPO. Yeah. However, because this part of IPO, if they learn that potential demand is weak, not because of the fundamental factor, but because of other factor, then they tend to cancel the IPO. So we cannot see this part. Yeah, what we can see tend to be from this part, the positive part. Hello, everyone. Can you still see my slide? Just want to check. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Yes, yes,
Can
we
you
can see, sir.
Yes, sir. We are
We can
watching.
see.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So this part you cannot observe because it is withdrawn. This part you observe. So you do not see the overall population, only part of population that survive. Of course, the average of this part is not 0. The average of this part will be positive that you observe in the research, right? Instead of observing the overall population mean here, the average, you only observe this part. Yeah. So the average will be positive. But the positive average is, this is for example, well, not really clear cut at 0. Yeah, usually not really clear cut at 0. There is some possible plus minus, or even for the negative. If it's 0, then the left tail part will be truncated. Then the average of this, it will not be 0 anymore, but somewhere here positive. Yeah. So now question is how to test the truncate. We can use the median test with assumption that if you rank all the return from the survive one and the unsurvived one, so the survive one will be positive, the unsurvived one will be negative. I will draw a simple picture. Yeah. So for example, sorry, this one.
Professor Roy, can I interrupt you, Professor Roy?
Yes.
So as we had communicated to our participants, sir, we have another 9 minutes. 9 minutes. So I think will we be able to finish this particular concept in 9 minutes? So
finish in about 5 minutes. Yeah,
and one or two questions we can take from the participants.
Sure. So this is the unsurvived one. This is survived one. Yeah. So the median of overall population should be 0. So if we can assume that the negative one, the unsurvived one here, and we rank all the sample from the unobserved sample, quote unquote, to this observed sample. And then, for example, we know that there are 30 here that is withdrawn, and then 70 here that survive. Then the median should be rank number 50 here. Yeah. So that's the median test. Okay. Now, I did that also for the withdrawn. I have sample of the withdrawn and then observe one. Actually, the result is here is around 0. The median is around 0. Yeah? Or you can model the truncated distribution. So, for example, how do you calculate the truncated distribution like this? So, if it is truncated here, for example, truncated here, not really past 0, I already modeled that. Later on, I can give you the mathematical solution for this. Yeah? Okay, the takeaway, this is the last part, the last slide. So you have to follow your heart, but don't forget to always take your brain. Yeah? Okay, thank you very much for your attention. So I finished my presentation. Now it's time for the question and answer. So I'll give back the floor to the moderator. Yeah, I will stop sharing my slide. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Richa ma'am, would you please ask the questions?
Sure.
So, as we are short of time, I will take 1 or 2 questions. So, there is one question. There are different views on sample size according to you. What is the ideal sample size?
So, I will answer directly. Ideal sample size depend on your objective of the research. Yeah. If the objective is more comprehensive, maybe ideal is around 100 or more. But if you have a limited time and limited resource, and then you don't want to, for example, the objective is not comprehensive examination, only partial, for example, preliminary examination, maybe something between 30 to 40 with the degrees of freedom of statistics, yeah, more than 30, then it should be okay. So again, cannot be one size fits all answer. So depends on your objective of the research.
Right, sir. Right, sir. And the last one, which method of sampling is the best, or you suggest if you wish to be rational in our research?
Well, actually, random sampling should be okay. I mean, that's the basic of the statistic. Eh? But in random sampling, be careful. You random sample only on the observed one, not the unobserved one. Then your decision, your conclusion can be biased toward only the observed one. That is the essence of the survival bias. Eh? Well, even though you use the random sampling, you need to be aware of the potential survival bias. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sir. So now we have come to the end of this 4th day of International Faculty Development Program.
I'm
And-
sorry the session took so long because it.
No, not at all. Not at all, sir. It was such an engaging presentation that all participants were engaged and enjoying the session. And I am really thankful to you, sir, not only for your lively session, but for the effort you have taken to give us this knowledge. I must tell all the participants that Professor Rai had to get up quite early in New York. It was 5:30 or 6 a.m. So we should consider ourselves lucky to have him and get this knowledge. So thank you very much, sir, and would like to have you here in our campus anytime you visit India.
Okay, we'll do it later after the COVID pandemic crisis.
Yes, sir. Now I would like to invite my co-convener, Professor Dubey, to propose vote of thanks, sir.
Just 1 minute. If you want still to contact me because the session is limited, you can contact me by email. Before I show you my email, or I can show you one more time about this. Yeah, I will share this one, so that you can always contact me after this. Yeah, if you still have some question, you cannot contact me now. Here, you can contact me by email. This is my email. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is my email, simple. roy.samuel@ipni.ac. AC from academic, ID is from Indonesia. This is my LinkedIn account and other social media account. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Hello, can you still hear me? Yeah. Okay. I cannot hear your voice.
Dr. Dubey, we are not able to hear your voice.
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
I hope all participants were so engrossed in your engaging session that we forgot that you are all in the morning from New York, engaging us in the evening in Ghaziabad in all India, right? So it was such an interesting session. I hope my takeaways were so good for this. My submission is that the topic which you took today is survival bias and perception probability bias. These two topics are very interesting, and you discussed a lot. You kept us all engaging through your own way of testing the participants, making them more active. Sir, I wish to tell you, we had in this 4-day session used different methods. Yesterday we had the bibliometric system, and now again through your session we had a new dimension. So I wish it will be certainly beneficial for all participants, all faculty members, including us. So I should say, I wish to express you my heartfelt thanks and look forward to you in future also. Whenever you are coming to Delhi, I am here. IMS GHAZIABAD is looking forward to you, to engage you. Right, sir? Please convey to us our institute is not far from Delhi. So with this word, I convey my once again thanks to you for accepting our request and giving our participants a valued time so that we can understand such a nitty-gritty of this topic. Now, I'll also express thanks to our thanks to Dr. Alok Pandey, Director IMS GHAZIABAD, our Dean Academics, Dr. Tapat Kumar Naik, for engaging us, encouraging us, and taking up such a valued session. I convey my thanks to my participants, all our participants, those who are showing so much interest, and throughout session they were very active. So thanks to all the participants. I also give my thanks to my staff and IT staff, especially Sumit is here, Mr. Dr. Sachin Malhotra, Nitin Rastogi, Dr. Nipet Trivedi. All of them are here to help us provide us support in this program. And finally, my co-conveners, Dr. Richa and Dr. Vijay Jain. Sir, it was those who were very much active in engaging all the guest speakers. So with this, I should say thanks to everybody and especially to Professor Roy Sembal, and look forward to see you again at IMS GHAZIABAD. With these words, thank you participants, thank you Professor Roy, thank you conveners, thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Good night
Thank you.
from our
Thank you very
side
much.
and good day
Thank
to
you.
Professor Roy.
Yeah, have a good day, sir. Thank you.